is up? Welcome to the Transparency Wednesday nights.
Today is not a day to celebrate, but the arrest of Richard M. Allen of Delphi on 2 counts of murder is sure a major step in leading to the conclusion of this long-term and complex investigation. Of this long-term and complex investigation. Of this long-term and complex investigation. Of this long-term and complex investigation.
Thousand people. On February 13th, 2017, Libby and Abby went hiking. The 2 teenagers were good friends and had the day off from school. The weather was unseasonably warm, but when Libby and Abby did not show up when they were supposed to get picked up, their families began to worry, and they began to search. Then, the next day, the bodies of these 2 girls were found, both victims of murder. Then, over the course of the next 5+ years, there were no answers, no arrests, just a series of disjointed clues, like 2 sketches that looked nothing alike, a video of the suspected killer, and a short audio recording of his voice.
Talk about one thing you said. You stood up there and you said you weren't sure what kind of emotions you were going to feel today.
Yeah.
And talk about that. You pulled up and it just hit you.
Well, I got up really early today, and I didn't really work all day yesterday, and in my mind about what was happening, and I just.
Welcome to the show, Angela. How are you? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yo, what up, girl?
What's up? Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
You got your first
Hi.
bell. There you go. You got your first bell. Is this your first time?
This is my first time.
Oh,
This is my first time.
Cherry popping on a Wednesday. I love it.
Exactly.
I'm gonna play the last part of this, and then I'm gonna ask you 5 rapid fire questions, and it's just the first thing that comes to mind. You got to say, okay?
Got it.
Okay. Those are the rules.
Decided to take the long way here. And I was going to get here early, and I decided not to. So it was about a 2-cup trip. And
2 cups of what?
First thing, piss. First thing.
2 cups of
that came to
piss. All right.
Piss.
Next question.
I just disappeared into the rural areas of Delphi, from Delphi to my home.
Do you think, yes or no, Brian Kober was in the rural areas doing cloud-based forensics on good old Dougie's phone here?
On Doug Carter's phone, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, cloud-based
Yeah, for
forensics
sure.
in a rural area.
Yes, in a very
Okay.
rural area. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Just making sure. Okay, next question.
And it was a bit surreal. And then when I pulled into the parking lot, it was really surreal.
If you were stranded in a shack and you had to pick one person to be with, who would you pick?
I almost said DB. Probably Ron Logan.
Totally. Okay.
And it was just peaceful. I just felt, it was weird. I didn't expect that.
Over or under 7. How many press conferences did Doug Carter do? Over and under 7.
Over.
And last but not least, right here at the beginning.
On February 13th, 2017, Libby and Abby went hiking. The two teenagers were.
What time do you really think Libby and Abby went hiking?
God. Earlier than what they've told us. If I had to change the time, I'd say earlier.
Like 1 o'clock or like
Hour,
where?
no. Like earlier, like an hour or 2 or 3. Like late morning.
So like before noon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good friends and had the day off from school. The weather was unseasonably warm.
Okay. Who is the guy that Kelsey says that she got the screenshot from of the Snapchat online?
Kyle Smith.
Okay. Who is Kyle Smith?
Kyle Smith is I think he was a local boy. I say boy. He was like older than Kelsey. He was maybe like 16, right?
Okay.
At the time.
Whoopsies.
Yeah.
Okay. He was 16 at the time. And
16-ish, maybe.
And so he just happened to, now the question is, see how it has like that half like load right there?
Yeah.
Okay. So did he just happen to take a screenshot of this, or is that, I mean, this wouldn't be her sister's, right? She got it from him?
That's the word. That's the word, Bird. But the thing that's odd about it is the screenshot that Kyle Smith shared says like 7 hours ago, like this one, but there is another one out there that says 5 hours ago, and I don't know who that belongs to.
Okay. So, well, first of all, again, welcome to the show. TNT welcomes you.
Thanks.
We're going to hear some bells tonight. It's only fair that I would give you the answers that I asked you. So I said, if you wanted to be in a shack, or if I had to put you in a shack and you had to be stranded, who would you want to be in a shack with? You said, survey says Ron Logan. Okay. I thought for sure you were going to say DB, so I would have gotten that wrong.
No, he's in my shit list. He's not in my shack tonight.
Okay. So, but if he wasn't on your shit list, would you have like probably said him?
I don't know.
Do you give me like a half a point?
Yes.
Okay, I get half C's. Okay, cool. Over under 7. Now, because I said pressers, I think Doug Carter's done under 7 actually.
Pressers 1, 2, 3, 4. You're right. I think 5 at most.
Yeah, because like him being interviewed by Kelsey, like that's not like a presser, you know? So like I thought about it and I was like, because immediately I thought, holy shit, it's got to be way more than that, right? Then I went looking back and I'm like, he's actually, it's not. And I was like, damn, they were really giving no information. If you think about it, right? So, what was the other one I asked you about? So I asked you the shack. I was that. Oh yeah, what do you think? He had 2 cups of piss, right?
Yeah,
that's fucking awesome.
So deranged.
I would have said decaf. He looks like a decaffer.
Yeah,
like total decaf and like, even though I did have like Doug Carter, like, it's like I want to like him. I got to be honest, because like when I was in Delphi, I just had to tell Jerry Holman because I was like, oh my god, he acted like he was like the best dressed guy. So I had to give him props. And then Doug Carter's like, oh my God, he always gets that. But what about me? And he was like in his uniform. And I felt like he was trying to be flirtatious. So can you picture like Doug Carter flirting?
Yes.
Yeah, right?
100%.
And yeah. And I'm like, and he he reminded me of somebody for that minute. And then I immediately just like thought about Aspen. You guys heard about all that, how we thought Aspen was his wife. Jesus, it was so funny. I was like, like not his wife. Or I was like, that's not Aspen, that's his wife. We were they look up, I mean, come on.
They were dressed the same too. Like they both were just wearing like a real sleek kind of long.
Their hair is the same.
100%. They got a pixie cut.
I'm telling you, one of them would go to prison for the other one in a lineup. Like we would totally be pegging the wrong person. So I think he's a decaffer. What was the other one I asked you? Because I'm about to press plan this next one. Oh, okay, so Kyle, right? Why didn't the defense call the Kyle guy? I was totally thinking, I was waiting in Delphi for like literally, I was like, okay, we got to get to this whole missing photo / picture / and so do we know, did the defense ever depose this guy?
No, I think that because the state at no time ever submitted that photo of Abby as evidence at any point. So it's like, I don't know.
So you're saying that the state never produced this? The state never produced this? It wasn't in Discovery?
As far as I know, I don't believe
it has
that
to be in Discovery. Wow.
I'm trying to think. I don't know if it's in Discovery. I know that they never were able to locate it on anything. And if it's in Discovery, it probably would have been because it was provided to them by like Kyle or Kelsey or someone, but they never submitted it like officially as evidence for trial. So
okay, so would you do that? This is weird then. Kelsey said that she got it like everybody else on the internet, right? Did you ever hear that? Like she got it how like we all got it.
I think we heard that recently though, right? Like
yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So
that sounds right.
So this gets me thinking. When she says that, were her and her sister not friends on Snap?
Right, because otherwise she could get it from her or her story or something.
Yeah, because we're going to talk about this. Was it posted in terms of like that it was like it just uploaded to your story, or was this like personally sent as a snap? But then once you view it once, it goes away. And I mean, you could just tell. Like, I felt like when I was at trial, I was watching a low budget film. Does that make sense? Like I felt like it was so low budget. Like everything was bare bones. Yeah. And I'm like, and so if you think about it, like someone's being charged with murder, and you got to produce a film on like a, $30,000 budget, and I'm like, how do you do that? Like, how do you? That's what it felt like when I was sitting, like when I was like watching this. I'm like waiting and waiting and waiting. It's just like
nothing ever happens.
Yeah, it was. Like but it wasn't because I felt like they didn't have weapons. I felt like they couldn't utilize them. But it was like it's like the rich guy that doesn't want to spend all the money to buy the good players, you know, like that type of thing. Like, but here, Richard Allen's team, usually when you have like a public defender's office, you have like the resources because you should never be strapped because of money. And I was just like, oh, God, like nobody could win in those shoes, but whatever. It's wild. So Kyle, wow. He just happens to
is there anymore.
Like, he just happens to find this, and
I guess. And I don't even think he's like local anymore. Like I don't even know. And it's weird because, and then I'll get off my Kyle too. But like Kyle Smith, like so he was like all about like I don't mean inserting himself in like a weird way. I just mean like he was like helping the family, or at least he said he was helping the family look, and he was talking about like we searched all night and blah blah blah. So I don't know if it was just like he's like a young dude, he wanted to be like involved.
Yeah.
And, like,
also there's just nothing to do there. It's like
nothing. Right. So I don't know what his story is.
It's really small, and it's just like I could see like after I was there, it's just like, yeah, 2 girls are missing from that type of an area. I mean, you're not doing anything. People getting out on their like 4-wheelers and shit. So, and he was 18, right? Is that what I said? Like you thought?
I know he was young. Like I want to say he was like an older adolescent, but I'm not sure exactly how old he was. I saw a couple of people say he was at least 18. I thought he was like 16 or 17, but I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what else did I think? Is that all the ones I asked you, right? Am I missing one? Okay, good. Here you go. We'll come back to the whole the guy, because I just obviously Kelsey has said numerous things that, for lack of when she had so many inconsistencies in her stories because she's talked a lot, why do you think that the defense didn't make a big deal about that? So they just don't think that it really mattered? Because if a timeline matters, then like wouldn't those inconsistencies, like how do you attack a timeline with, I'm not saying you go and attack the girl, but you got to get down to the nitty gritty here. I mean, this is.
Yeah. I think that I suspect part of it probably had to do with just like optics. I imagine they thought that they would be better off like maybe putting some of that.
But we would never know. Like nobody would ever know. Like, wasn't the family all deposed?
I don't think so.
What?
I don't think the family was deposed, unless I'm wrong about that.
I thought they were.
I don't know the answer to that question. My knee-jerk reaction is to say no, they weren't.
Wasn't all their interviews all destroyed because they were the people that were interviewed first?
I don't know that the family was ever formally interviewed in the sense of like. I'm trying to think. Like, I know that they didn't get their phones right away.
Well, I would only just assume that if they were ever interviewed, it had been right away, and they lost all of those interviews.
I think that the FBI interviewed Kelsey, if I'm not mistaken, but I don't know if it was right away. But that's one of the things,
and they did it at their station where like the recording device wasn't working, or it was, but they recorded over it, whatever. The reason I say anything about this is because, for example, like the Chris Watts case, when I had access to a bunch of that crap, the FBI had their own reports. So like they're not relying on like, yeah, you may be recording this room, but we have our own like recording device. We do our own reports. And if you're recording us, great, but we have our own shit too. Mm-hmm. So I just can't imagine that. How does without having like their reports in those interviews, and how would the defense, wouldn't they have to say like, we need to talk to these people and find out like what they would say? Like, I mean, we're going to go off of the police narrative versus talking to the family. You mean the family specifically, right? Like the defense doing their own interviews of them. Yeah, because like deposing them, like they were deposing left and right everybody. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I just want to know why we're just totally would have. Yeah. The 1:49 p.m. phone or car. How come we're just assuming and taking like, oh, that's Kelsey's? Have you ever seen a picture? Have you ever seen? And I have a lot of questions. No, I have a lot of questions about it. I'm not convinced that it was. That's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't even make any sense. Like, how do you just, like, did someone just show her like, hey, is this your vehicle? Oh, yep, that's me. Like, they didn't even show. I'm just trying to say they didn't even show us at trial. Right. Right. So I don't understand. Like, I mean, I wasn't there for the one of the days because I wanted to be there for certain days, or I tried to just based off of who. Like the order they were kind of flowing, and I was driving back and forth. But how far is that for you to get there? A couple of hours, right? 3:45. Yeah. Okay. Well, it was way closer to go to the other one. It was like 2.5, I think, and then to go to Delphi was like 3 hours and 45 minutes. Oh, right, because you went to Allen County for the jury selection, and then I gotcha. Yep. Yeah, we went there for like the March hearings too. The contempt hearings, we were there.
Right.
The only ones that we couldn't go to were the August. Was I in Idaho? I was somewhere else for that August one.
Okay.
The 3 days that they had.
Yeah, the
never mind.
summer
I know
ones.
where I was. Yep, I was. Yep, I know where I was. I couldn't go. I knew I had a conflict when they had those 3 days. What else do I think was weird about, like, just okay, well, regardless here, we'll move on to this part. So Nick, right? Where did Nick go to law school?
I think he went to the University of Toledo.
Okay.
Toledo.
So
Yeah.
so Toledo, he goes to Toledo, right? And Baldwin goes to the University of Akron. Do you know that those are like rival schools?
Are they?
Fuck yeah, they
Nice.
are. So when I heard you
Nice.
talking about Toledo, I was like, oh my God, no wonder why they hate each other. Not really, they probably don't hate each other, but you know what I mean? Like, that's a huge rivalry in
Makes
Ohio.
sense.
Like, as far as like, oh yeah, that's the MAC schools. So Toledo, Akron, Kent, Kent State, yeah, Toledo, Akron. Who am I missing? What was another one that was in the mix? Wright State. Was Wright State in it? No, they were in the other one. There's another school over there. Anyways, all those schools in the MAC are hardcore, like big time. Oh wait, Bowling Green. Yeah, that's the other one, Bowling Green. So they're all big rivalry schools. So when I heard that he went to Toledo, I was like, oh my God. And then Baldwin went to, he's a Zip. I was like, interesting. I mean, they're hella years apart, but it's rivalry.
Yeah, but Nick's petty, so who knows? He also, he called him Joseph Baldwin in the thing that he just filed, which is like he couldn't even get his name right. Like,
wait,
idiot.
I think he did that on purpose.
Probably.
They play games. I mean, oh God. Okay, so you watched when Nick did his little interview with the line cutter, right?
Yes, that was the line cutter.
Oh, fuck
for
yeah,
sure.
that was her.
Okay.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, I personally think that they've had relations, but that's how they act. It was just softball question for softball question. It was ridiculous. How do you ask somebody? So, do you think that Richard Allen got a fair trial? What do you think he's going to say to you? No.
No follow up. No follow up. He goes yes, and then that was it. They moved right on. I was like, I can't believe that you just wasted 10 minutes of my 10 seconds of my life with that question.
Total waste. Okay, so what's your take on Ron Logan's confession is being deemed, get out of here. That dude totally failed the polygraph. What do you think about that?
Well, first of all, polygraphs are fucking fake. They're not real. They're fucking fake. They're Candyland. They're fake. They're bullshit. So the fact that he felt like putting in emotion failed miserably. Yeah. He failed the fake thing miserably. So I just don't care what a polygraph says one way or another. The fact that they're still using them.
I cannot believe that he used that I cannot believe that he said that.
No, I can't either. But then I'm also like, actually, yeah, I can. I would deny a polygraph if I ever got asked. And she says, everybody should deny a polygraph. Fuck that.
Well, because it doesn't make sense because they're not admissible. So why are you giving me one?
Right. What's the point then?
It's so stupid because I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't, right?
Right. It's just mind games.
Because if I pass it, I cheated. And if I fail, I'm guilty.
Exactly. And if you pass, but they still think you're guilty, then they're like, oh, well, he only passed because he's such a psychopath. He knows how to
do it. Yeah, he knows what to do. Like, so it's just like, why would you, where the reward to risk, it's just like, get the fuck out of here.
Right.
Okay, so this filing. Back up here, what is that? So critical phase. Defendants only need critical lawyers during critical phases of the criminal justice process. What do you think about that? Where do you think he got that from? Like when he got the motion that was filed by the defense and he's like, okay, I have to respond to this. Do you think that he consulted with anybody to do that? I believe that he 100% consulted with, he has somebody literally hand feeding him his material. That's my take. What's your take? Oh, wait, are you muted?
Sorry, I'm muted. I do that a lot. Kind of my thing. Yeah.
I was about to
agree with
say,
you.
girl, what do you need? Like a minute to think about this for a minute? Okay.
No, it's me. That's
so
my thing.
We'll go back here. So I personally believe when I read what I read last night, I was like, these motherfuckers are just literally anything that they say, they're going to twist.
Yes.
Like you could show, they literally argued and said, there's no way to authenticate the video, right? But wasn't that your job, actually? Wasn't that be your job, Nick, and your cops to go and do what's proper to preserve the evidence? Mm-hmm. So now, it's just like, wait, so you didn't do your job. You basically told on yourself, but so I was just curious about who you think wrote it, because I don't think Nick McKillen's popping off with all the stuff that he's popping off with by himself.
I think he wrote the part. So if you go through it, and we were kind of laughing about this the other night. If I think Judge Jessica's in here too. There's a part where you can tell that it's him, and it's when he starts talking about
when he gets snappy.
When he starts talking about Reese Davis, and
yes,
and that part, I think that that's all him. The rest of it is like some kind of maybe AI maybe he's consulting with AI. Maybe he goes,
dude, I've been using AI like a motherfucker. I said, fuck it, let's just use AI. I had AI literally write me up a whole motion 2 nights ago. You guys want to hear it? It's but I couldn't believe it. I put in 322 pages of transcripts, and I said, write me an objection from the plaintiff's position and write me an objection from the defendant's position. And here's fucking AI just tossing all this shit back. And I'm like,
probably better than anything Nick wrote.
Oh, I was just dying. I mean, I was like, all right, this is wild. I had it back like that. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. It's kind of scary.
And then you just can like fuck with it at that point. And I'm just like, wow. Like, why do people even go to school anymore? It's insane. It was like literally, I popped 333 pages, and then you can like tweak it because you can keep adding shit to it.
Mm-hmm.
When you keep adding these documents, and it's just like, and you can pick and choose. And I was like, man, I want to try some case law in there and see what it will say. Like, how can you argue case law? Anyways, that's just throwing that out there. It's why are we going to school? I'm like, fuck, dude. And then one of my friends, she's actually in school for teaching. She went back to school to get her teaching. And so she's like, hey, I was in Delphi for this. She's like, hey, will you write up one of my papers? And I was like, girl, what? I was like, send me this shit. I'm like, what is this? I'm like, don't you like just AI the fuck out of this? And she's like, oh my God, no, we have to submit it to see it. It'll get like red checked or like green checked. And I'm like, wait, what?
Well, don't they have like things now that they can put it into to detect AI? So like you have to tweak like a certain percentage of it, or else you get fucked.
Yeah. And then I said, just go and make some grammatical mistakes. Like get the fuck up in there and go make some grammatical errors, and who cares? Like just write stuff to make it seem like you clearly didn't copyright that or plagiarize it because there's all this couple words are spelled wrong here, and put some eyes in there and make it like your story.
Right.
So the one time I got through the AI, and I was like, and the next time she's like, hey, that got like a red X. And I'm like,
you're fired.
I'm like, hey, I was like, I tweaked it. And she's like, can you redo it for me? I was like, girl.
Not enough tweakage.
Yeah,
need more tweakage.
I was like, I'm going to need lunch. It's just nuts though. It's absolutely shit. You got kids nowadays. You just have to talk to your device, and it just can type for you. So, hey, did you do your spelling words? Hey, did you work on those sentences? And it's like, kind of like a calculator
Yeah.
back in the day. But now it's just for
We
everything.
didn't have shit when we were
Yeah.
doing everything with our brains.
But this is why I'm telling you, our IQs are here and common sense and stuff. And then you have the world right now, and they just rely on all this other stuff. So it's interesting. Okay. Next up. So I'm going to pull up the motion.
Okay.
What do you think Judge Gall is going to say?
If she says anything at all, she will deny it without a hearing.
Yeah, I don't even know if she's going to like respond.
I think she's just going to let it
Sit
lapse, into the automatic denial. What is it, 45 days? I think she's just not even going to respond.
Okay. What's your thought on they said he submitted an affidavit, sheriff guy, right? I laughed. Who gives a fuck about his affidavit? Like, oh, so-and-so submitted an affidavit, so it's got to be like, oh, by the book. You know, we had Richard Allen here and blah, 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 and da-da-da.
Right.
How in the world did nobody catch that till when they did?
Catch what? The attorney thing?
Yeah.
Just that he like didn't have one, or that he did and then he
Well, no,
didn't.
that he did. How come it? How did it never leak out that they booked Richard Allen under a different name? How did that never leak out?
So in the first, like the early days, like literally like October 28th, 29th, 30th, before their arrest press conference, the name Craig Renfrew or whatever did leak out, but it wasn't until Richard Allen was also like his name was also there. So it was like it leaked, but it was like Richard Allen and this alias. So it was like connected. But I think the consensus.
But that been verified. That name was connected to him. I printed all of his stuff back in the day, and we have it all here. We went through it recently. His alias was Renfro. I have the documents. So that's what they booked him under?
Yeah.
Okay, so check it right. So I went back and watched the interview that girl did, the line cutter, did with Nick. And I started thinking back to when I went and got the body cams for Idaho 4. I had noticed that I was like, holy shit. People from mainstream media, like Daily Mail, people from Idaho, they knew that 2 of those existed, but they never asked for the body cam. They say. Because I was like, wait a second, why haven't you guys put this out there? Because I went nuts on mainstream media. I was like, oh, let me guess. I believe that somebody like blackmailed, like, here, I'm going to put all this out and it's going to make things go crazy, or you can pay me to be quiet, right? Or I'm going to put out all the body cams that I got, or somebody could pay me, right? And I could say, I could go and McKay to a police officer or to the prosecutor, hey, I went and got all these FOIA requests before your people didn't know anything, and I have all this stuff here. Now I can either put this out, or I could bribe you, and I would be able to, for my silence, you're going to do shit for me, right? So I thought about that and went back and watched that girl interview Nick, and I said, I am shocked that these people wouldn't be able to uncover that he was, and it wouldn't have gotten out, that he was under an alias, and nobody would have put that out. Unless you're doing a solid for the prosecution. And if you have a good, hey, don't put that out there, please. It's going to mess with all of our stuff. So do you think
for sure.
Those people knew that Rick Allen was under an alias and never reported on it?
I think there are people, I'm thinking of like 2 in particular, who probably knew Richard Allen's name and the fact that he had been at least arrested, maybe not charged yet. I think there are people who knew sooner, who kept that information quiet because law enforcement asked them to.
Yeah.
Yes.
So then what would be the purpose for them to book Richard Allen under an alias when they first did it?
Because they didn't want anyone to know who he was, where he was. I think they probably didn't want him. I think it was just to because their own jail staff didn't even know that he was there.
Okay, so what do you think why? What do you think the purpose of it would be though for? Because after they wrote the first motion and before Nick responded, it then made sense to me that, okay, wow, if they really told that lawyer that we don't have anybody here by that name, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then the lawyer is going to say, well, okay, and that's that, right?
Yeah,
Or
I
he's
think they
gonna
were
go-
buying time. They're hiding him and buying time, honestly. To
and people don't do that in my why you don't do that when you have guilty people.
no. I think that they needed to get their. I think that probably, and this is just speculation, we already know that Judge Diener helps his own author and write and prepare things sometimes. It would not surprise me if Judge Diener was also advising them on the PCA too.
On the PCA?
I could see a world in which he did that for them.
So what would it take for the FBI to look into all this possible misconduct by the multiple agencies, like Carroll County, Delphi Police, who else was in on it? Idaho State or Indiana State Police.
Yeah, DOC, definitely DOC.
Yeah, so like, you understand these people from the feds, they were like that. The one woman, I want her to talk one day. She was like, it's Ron Logan. And he had something to do with it, no doubt about it. It's Ron Logan, and the bodies were staged and blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there was like nothing to get her off of it until something happened, and then it all went like fucking haywire. And I'm actually shocked that we haven't heard from, maybe it's because there's like appeals process, so maybe Cyray's gonna wait, but I want to hear from Cyray.
Yeah. What do you think he'll say?
Well, I want to know what Cyray would have had anything to do with the case if there's not cell phones.
Right.
That's what he does, location. So if I don't know what Cyray would have anything to do with this case, if you're like, what devices did they even use? Like, they truly didn't use any devices in that trial, like no devices.
Right. And that's because the state literally like eliminate out everything that would be relevant to a device, like none of the geofence, none of it, like nothing. And it's like, why? Like, why? I mean, I feel like I know why, but like,
I even say fuck the geofencing. I want to know about if we take your 6 months worth of phone records and we take my 6 month worth of phone records, and we work backwards, right, from the day of like the murder leading up to that murder, they pay attention to your patterns for like a 6 month period. Like that's what Cyray would be like really like used for.
I see. Okay.
And so like you're taking like your call detail records, and so it's about like your pattern, your history, and like where you normally go, who you're calling, shit like that.
And would that be for like the suspect or the defendant or the victims or like just everybody involved? He would do.
Yes.
Everybody. Okay.
Yep.
I mean, I could see
like,
I definitely see the value in that. Yeah.
Yeah. So like you're gonna have the girls, you would have had like their families, and then maybe like I think it's gonna be really hard with Ron Logan's phone, only because like he lives right there.
Right.
But after being there, you guys fuck all what they're saying. Absolutely not. It was were you possibly over to be on the other side of the river or the creek, whatever you want to call it, and your phone just, there's no way that you're going to be able to get back across and where the bodies were. You're going to, it's without leaves, you're so easily seen.
Oh, for sure.
It's so bad. It's like you're not. And when you hear like when you're walking and you're crunching in like the leaves and shit, like you hear that stuff. For the phone just to like at 2:13, then it comes they're saying that it's done, over with, doesn't move again until at 2:32. That is fucking impossible to commit that kill by 2:32 and be where they think that it is at 2:25, right? And then it has to make it over there by 2:32, right? Isn't that like the time frame?
Yeah,
but
there's no fucking way.
There's no steps.
Yeah.
I'm like, how the fuck is this possible? I'm like, this is not possible. This is like impossible. And so maybe like those jurors, remember how they were supposed to go out there for like the little field trip, but then they ended up not going? And I said at first, I was like, dude, what do you mean they can't like make it? I'm telling you this right now. There is no way that they would have made it. Those older people would have fell down where we were holding on to like trees and just sliding down. There's barbed wire now. And I almost didn't see it. It would have ripped my whole like arm. And thank God that one dude was there, Noe or whatever his name was. He's
great.
Yeah, he stopped. He's like, oh wait, hold on. And he holds it up and we were going. And I was like, dude. And then just yeah, those people in the jury, half of them, if not, like I'll tell you this, the girl that did the interview would have been tumbling down. She'd have been rolling. There's no way these people would have been, I'm telling you, fucking like sliding down. I'm not even playing. It is so until I was out there and did it, because I was like, what do you mean they can't go out there? Yeah, no. But I think in a way they should, just to see how freaking nuts it would be.
Right. Yeah. I what you said about it being like a low budget, like you were watching a low budget, that's like such a good, it's like a low budget, it's like not even like a screen, what the fuck is it called? When they do like, it was like before, you know what I'm talking about? Like before they actually like film the pilot, they do like the read on screen with everybody. That's kind of what it feels like to me. It's like there's no actual evidence, there's no actual case. It's just like they're cosplaying.
It was like the Rust. It was the Rust movie.
Yes.
I'm telling you, no budget.
Yes.
It was. It was like a Sundance Film Festival, but like DF rating, like because some of those films are awesome. They just had it was bad. It was bare bones. It was just
it was like a fake. It was like fake. It was like fake. It was like fake.
Like even like
staged.
Just, like you can't see shit. Like when they even put up like their exhibits. I'm like, this is so bad. Like nobody should be convicted in a murder case off of how that was situated, in my opinion.
I just would have so many questions if I was a juror. Like I would have so many questions. I would be the most pain in the ass. Like no one would want me on a jury, but I would just like. So so like Nick's main thing, and he's still doing it, by the way. It's like he's possessed. Honestly, he's still like Bridge Guy is the killer, and if we find Bridge Guy, then we find the killer, and Richard Allen's Bridge Guy. That's his whole case, and he didn't have to prove that at any point. Like, huh?
I'll tell you what, though. He was so it was wild because those jurors were saying that they needed to see all this proof, that they needed to have physical evidence, that they needed this, that they needed that, you know? Oh my God, you have murder. You to convict somebody, you need stuff. And I'm just like, yeah, exactly. Okay. So take everything that you said in the beginning, right? And then you get to the end and it's just like, did they provide you this? Did they provide you that? And I just think the plot was kind of missed there at the end with, I thought it was a mic drop moment. Like I thought Stacey Aldridge won the case for the defense because it totally is like, yeah, this is possible. And if it's possible, then you have to say not guilty.
Reasonable doubt. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, but how many instances of that
Like,
did they have?
even
Like,
the people were just, when she said that, and it was like, people were like, you know, you heard all that in the courtroom, if that makes sense. Like, it was this, and that's when I came out from that day, and I was like, it's over, because she laid the, like, boom, like, you cannot get over that.
right.
And I don't know
but
how
then,
they
like, what
did.
happened? Like, what happened then?
I don't know how they did. I'm telling you, I feel like somebody was torturing number 6. Like, I think he went through torture in there. But it's just like, whoa. What was the other part?
Which
that I
one
thought
is
was
number
really
6?
bad?
Is not the
He was the guy
person.
that he's the one that I always said it was Richard Allen's heartbeat. Like, he's never gonna say guilty, so I always thought it would be at the worst a hung jury, because he was
Why? Just because how he was
his
reacting?
mannerisms. Oh my god, yeah, he
Yeah.
was like, he was just like, couldn't believe it. He was like outraged. Like, he was watching those videos of like Richard Allen like pounding his head, and just he couldn't believe
What he was seeing.
Yes. And the state they were getting their, I'm sorry, but they were getting their asses handed to them for the first X amount of days. And then it wasn't until the Brad Weber first day that Brad Weber testified is the first time that you saw light out of the mainstream media people, like pumping that, you know, oh my God, the van and the timeline. And then I love how Nick downplayed the fact that Brad Weber's, he connect to Wi-Fi at 250, right? Or 244.
The FBI had his phone pinging off the fucking, and they like to try and say that phone pings are like so inaccurate. Let me tell you something right now. This is just a personal anecdote. Jerry Holman was able to ping my cell phone and drop that pin on my fucking head from states away. Like, ping locations are very accurate.
Why was Jerry Holman pinging you?
Because he's a weirdo. Oh, I have to tell you about this. I'll tell you another time.
Wait, what are you talking about?
I didn't mean to. So Jerry Holman does this thing where, like, if he decides or determines that you're like, I don't know, annoying.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I thought you knew. I'm sorry. I thought you knew this. I wouldn't have dropped it in the middle of your thing and done a sidetrack. We can definitely do an unpack another time. But basically, Jerry Holman has a pattern of behavior where if he doesn't like you, if you're an activist or a reporter or doing any kind of a investigation that he doesn't like, he will try and arrest you, try and get you, he'll try and frame you for crimes. And he swatted me and my father in New York.
Wait,
100%. Yeah, back in June. And he did that because he pinged my cell phone.
You and your dad?
I was visiting my dad, and Jerry Holman swatted me. He did a cross-state warrantless ping of my cell phone.
And so when he found out where you were, he had people go get you?
He had 3.
Did you get arrested?
I did not get arrested because that day I had a feeling that someone was up to some bullshit. So I went to the sheriff's department that day, just by happenstance, at like 3 p.m, and I reported some of my own shit. And I was like, look, I think I'm being basically like,
were you being stalked?
Like stalked. Yeah, like cyber stalked. At the very least, cyber stalked, maybe worse. And so fortunately, when they responded,
how did he get probable cause to get any of your shit?
He didn't. He didn't exigent circumstance. He just felt like it.
You were able to get to the bottom of what he did? Like
Oh yeah.
Wait, what? What was the what?
So he basically was
what? I'm sorry.
It's crazy.
Jerry Holman's like, you go swat that blondie.
Yeah, he tried to get me charged with communicating with like terroristic threats or some shit.
Who are you threatening?
Him. Oh, you know who's listed as a victim on the report? Him and the prosecutor.
Wait, Nick
and they're listed as a victim. Yeah, they're victims.
Were you witness intimidating? Or were you what?
No.
Well,
I don't know.
What was the Normally people like send you like a cease and desist or something like that to say like, hey, I need you to stop. Like, wouldn't that be like a civil thing?
Yeah. Yeah, so they could do that, but see, they didn't have any reason to because I literally never bothered
You're
them.
allowed to say, hey, you fucking suck, fat fuck. Like, you can't get arrested for that.
They relied on basically somebody said that I was doing something that I wasn't doing, and that was it. That was the exigent circumstance. He never like checked, and then he
Somebody said it was it murder sheet?
Not exactly, no.
I was
Someone
just
called Jerry Holman directly. They had his they called him directly and said that I was communicating that I was doing terrorism, that I was on my way to Indiana. And
what? Have you even been to Indiana?
I've been to Indiana, not for anything to do with Jerry Holman or Nick McClelland, though. No. They said I was
mad
that
you didn't want to get with them.
That I was on my way to Indiana. So if that's his exigent circumstance was that I'm en route to Indiana, right, to do this crazy thing. So he warrantless pings my cell phone, finds that I'm not on my way to Indiana. I'm tucked in my pajamas visiting my older father in New York, bothering no one. Like, that should have been the end of it. He should have been, oh, okay, well, it was a false alarm, case closed.
This person is nowhere near.
No, he still had 3 armed deputies basically practically kick the door down at 11 o'clock at night. And thankfully, they knocked. They knocked.
Did they say come out with your hands up?
They said come outside. I said no. They said come outside. I said do I have to? And they said yes. I said am I under arrest? They said no. I said so do I have to? And they said yes. So, and my dad was there and he was like just go outside. And I was like okay. So I did. But no, but fortunately, like I said, I had been at the sheriff's department earlier. They were wearing body cams? They were, and I FOIA'd them, and they told me they didn't have them on or something. I have to go back and look. We're still this is not, it's not over. We're still working on it, but it wasn't that long ago. All of that to say, had I not gone to the sheriff's department that day, just on like a gut instinct, because when they came, I was able to call the detective I met with earlier that day and be like, tell your goons to stand the fuck down. And he could. So they were like, oh, okay, never mind. And then they like understood what the situation was. But let me tell you something. They don't operate like that in New York State. They don't appreciate
being used.
No.
Like, we're not going to do your bidding. We're not going to do your bidding for you. Was your dad like, what the fuck is going on? He was very, very podcast. Yeah, girl, no, I'm kidding. I would have been like, what do you, I mean, I'm sure he was supportive of you. I would have been like.
He went with me earlier that day, fortunately. So he was kind of like, yeah, earlier in the day, he went with me to the police station.
You just happened to be visiting?
Mm-hmm.
So there could have been a chance that you would have just been by yourself at home or something.
Well, that's probably why they did it. I mean, they didn't know whoever wanted to do this didn't know where I was, and they needed to find out where I was to arrest me. And this was in June. So we had, let's see, what was going on in June?
June of 2024.
This was around the same time that people were trying to like basically frame me and Courtney in the defense. Like that, this was around the time that they were trying to say that the defense was jury tampering, blah, blah. It was a bunch of bullshit. They were just up to
me. I was like, yeah, what you got talking about?
Yeah,
I was
just
totally joking about the stupid runaway jury, that fucking stupid dumb movie, and I was picking up my friends.
Exactly, Lana. What they did to you is, I remember that, and I remember thinking, like, this is insane.
Yeah, I was like
you can't do that. Like, you're allowed to just like.
They detained me that day, and then they were like, "Oh my god, she totally is fine to go." She's like, they watched my YouTube video, and I was like. Is this about my live? I was like, get the fuck. I was like, please, I'll.
Did they even know? But did they even know why they were told to detain you or whatever? Like, were they even aware?
Yeah, whoever called and whatever they said.
So crazy.
Yeah, I was
It's crazy.
Like, and then they asked me for my phone. I said, well,
I
I
hope you told him to
wouldn't
keep
give it to you even if it
fucking
wasn't dead, but it is dead, but you can get a warrant for that.
right.
I'm not giving you anything.
And I didn't mean to derail, but like my point is that he was able to ping my phone and get my exact, like within probably inches, he was able to get my exact location through pinging my cell phone. So if people who are saying, and I understand it has to do with the towers and everything, but Nick, but they want people to think that pings are like, oh, it can be off by miles. Not anymore. Not these days. They're not.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that's nuts that would happen to you.
Yeah.
That's how much like I feel like that story is more entertaining than the low budget film I watched for 9 hours a day in court. Just saying, I was like, damn. But fucking A. Wow. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
So you
They're
when you got
unserious.
when that happened to you, did you like was there like a protection order? Like were you like did the cops just say like we're not normally they don't have people go did he try to pull strings because he's a police officer? Like
he's a lieutenant. He basically didn't have to ask permission from anyone to do anything. And that's kind of how he operates. I mean, he basically told the sheriff's department in New York what to do. He didn't ask them. And when the county in New York, the county elected DA found out what had occurred, he got involved because he did not appreciate that. Like they don't operate like that in New York State the way they do in Indiana. But in Indiana, you're basically at the mercy of Jerry Holman and people like him. They don't answer to anybody.
but so since you were at a location, you weren't doing whatever it is that they said that they were doing. Normally they can just get exigent circumstances to do whatever they did, but why did he feel the need to go then to your location and do that? Like was that
He wanted
you know
me
what I'm trying
arrested.
to say? Like
yeah, he wanted me. He had a goal in mind. The goal was
statute. What statute is he arresting you under? Like
it was a felony. It was like a communicating threat something. I'll have to look up the exact statute in Indiana, but it was definitely some kind of a felony communicating threats something. Which is insane.
And it was against him. Like it wasn't like he was investigating for somebody else.
He
was investigating his own case. Did you? I mean, I hope
he listed
himself for violating your civil rights.
Come to think of it, he listed. Well, it is, and and it's like the problem with that is that you have to like get the evidence and FOIA and get all of it, and ISP protects ISP, so it's really hard to get that. It's also very expensive to have an attorney help you, blah blah blah. It's just crazy.
Oh yeah,
it's insane. You do give terrorists, not gonna lie. Yeah, that's what I hear. Someone said you do give terrorists, not gonna lie. Yeah, for sure.
So you were like probably having no part of going over to the trial, because like
I wanted to, and basically that was not
to me. Just wasn't worth. That would not be worth it for me.
People I trust very much were like, don't do that. So and I didn't want to like because why? You know, like I wouldn't get in. They would make sure of that, and also, it just felt like just more chaos in a trial that has had very little to do with actual evidence. You know, just like more nonsense in a nonsense trial.
Yeah, if I wasn't there in a group, like a couple of the times that I went, I thought about it. Like, I knew that certain things just weren't worth it. If that makes sense. Like,
right. Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, I'll go the one time and I'll see how it is. And it's just to me, because of certain things that were going on, like I'm not gonna get. Like, I'm not a fucking idiot. I don't. As much as I want to, hey, report on the fuckeridge that's going on. There's other people that were there and that they could have done that. Pick and choose your battles, but
for sure,
it was fine. There was a ton of police presence, but
Well, I was a little worried
I
about
felt
you,
like-
when you were
I
in
feel like-
Allen County at night by yourself. I remember like DB
actually, I
and
loved
and,
Allen. Yeah, I loved Allen
we were,
County.
like, living
Actually, I love
terrible.
both places. Like there was, I feel really bad for the area by the courthouse. I'll tell you what, Delphi community over there, after talking like the bartenders and like the store owners, they lost their asses. Like with people weren't coming out, during the
You mean,
trial.
like for that month and a bit, yeah.
Oh yeah, people weren't. They were staying. Everyone was just staying away from that area, which made that whole little block, like businesses suffered. So
It sucks. They shouldn't have had it there, dude. They had no reason to have it there.
yeah, I just remember talking to them, and they were super nice, and I was like, hey, when we were there, we made it a point to go. Like at first, I was going to like Lafayette and hanging out over there, because like I said, I wanted no problems. I was like, fuck all that.
Right.
But then when we had lunch the one day and I talked and I heard about that, I was like, man, I want to spend my money over here. Like that was important, because there was people that they're like, we can't even pay our bills. These waitresses and bartenders are like relying, and like these little store owners. So
well, and they're not even making it feasible. Like, what if you wanted, like, if they made the trial even somewhat accessible, or if they had like an overflow area or something like reasonably public, like they should have, then that would have brought business. But they're so fucking paranoid there, and like they really think that they are the center of the entire world, and that everybody wants to cause them harm. Nobody wants to cause them harm. People just want to view the public trial, and they're just paranoid. They just shut everything down. They don't
people
want
that were saying
coming.
that's wild. There was nobody. And we went to I loved the little Mexican restaurant that we had over there. I think
Mitchell's
actually,
or whatever.
Not that one. I went to the other one that was like the authentic, like Mexican people ran it.
Okay.
Loved them. Okay. Because they gave us the bar side, like when you go to a Mexican restaurant, you have just like a small little bar area. So we just like consumed that every day. And we came in and they're like, you want the usual? Cause I was just like, I want a Corona Rita. Let's go. And so we took that whole little side over, and I kid you not, we probably spent at least $100 or $200 in there a day.
Yeah.
I was buying everybody. I was like, Rick, what do you want to drink? Who's go get those line sitters? Let's go. I was just like, we'll just get the whole damn line sitting crew just hammered.
It was like cool.
It was
that whole like component of it.
Yeah, it was. And I felt like people were, I don't know. I just thought everybody was, for the most part, and it was respectful. That's just the best way I can say it. Like, I respect your opinion, whatever it is. Okay, awesome, great. You can respect my opinion, which is, hey, fair trial, and you're innocent until proven guilty. Hey, do you want to have a beer? That's how I am.
Well, most people are like that's the thing. Most people are like pretty reasonable and pretty decent. At the end of the day, like people are not sitting around trying to like convict somebody who's innocent. It's just crazy. Like they just want to see some resolve and some answers, and it's just really fucking sad that the trial's over and we have no answers. None.
Yeah. My stomach in that room, I knew that it was going to be guilty as soon as those jurors walked in. I couldn't even believe it. It's the truth. When they say that somebody's
How
like,
could you tell?
they don't look at you. Head down. Oh my God, they weren't. That jury walked in there and nobody looked at the crowd whatsoever. Nobody looked over there at the defense. And I was like, oh my God, this is coming back guilty.
I didn't expect it. I didn't. And I can admit that I was certain that he would be convicted up until probably like day 2 of deliberation. Then I started to get hopeful. And yeah.
Yeah, I just when I saw 6. He had no glasses on. He was disheveled. And I was like, oh my God. And he's not looking. And and none of them were. And I was like, oh my God, this is coming back guilty. Oh my God, this is coming back guilty.
What do you think the other jurors are thinking, especially now that one who may or may not have been representative of all of them? I feel she likely was not in some areas. Like, how do you think they're feeling?
I would never have someone like that as my spokesperson, but I'm a very different person than a lot of people. But then I could see them seeing, I mean, I think that the juror got a lot of backlash. And so they're like, fuck it, I'm not saying a word because I don't want any of that.
Right. Like, I don't want that smoke.
I kind of can't believe that they didn't reach out to like the defense or, I love that mainstream media didn't get the interview. And that pretty, I think number 6 was crying. Somebody asked me, 6 was the crier, wasn't he? It looked like he was crying. But it also just looked like he didn't look like the same person because he didn't have his glasses on. He always had his glasses on. So, I can't believe that the girl said that the bullet didn't match. And I was like, what the fuck is this broad talking about now? Because that's the only thing that they had physical evidence-wise.
That's literally it. The bullet.
You know? And then to hear how she was like caring if like you liked the lawyer, you didn't like the lawyer. It's like, do you think that Richard Allen has a say when you have a public defender, what lawyer you get? Just like, let's just take out the equation. Like, we know that Richard likes them, okay? But I'm saying like you're going to convict me based off of if you like my attorney, if they're not like, that was just wild to hear that.
Well, and it's like so they didn't find the bullet compelling. They didn't find the bullet compelling. She said they didn't necessarily find the confessions too compelling. So like, then what compelled them? You know what I'm saying? Like, what?
She said, she's like, Bridge guy, you know, he put himself there, and Bridge guy is the killer. And I'm over here like, wait, nobody proved that Bridge guy is the killer though. Okay. But I think that's a huge advantage for the defense in round 2. Praying that they get around 2. I think they will. Is you need to put Ron Logan out on that bridge because Ron Logan matches that description. And he lives right there.
The FBI's investigation into
we need
all
to put
of
people
that.
out on that bridge.
Right, because we've got Dave McCain literally on the bridge for hours. You've got Ron Logan on there per the FBI and his cell phone. You've got multiple young people on the bridge. You've got that Daniel Pearson dude that didn't even come up once. You've got Pat Clausen on a trail cam. Like, none of that was like raised any questions, because when we heard that for the first time, when we were like getting it delayed, you know, second, third, fourth hand, our heads about exploded. But like, nobody seems.
I just don't think that anybody can be convicted of this crime. And also, like, everybody's just forgetting this, dude. Where's Richard Allen's DNA at the crime scene? It's not there.
Fucking there. It's not fucking there.
You have to take something you have to think of something in the same sense of like, if it's there, it's like, oh, so compelling. But it not being there should be just as compelling. When you had, right. I listened to that broad testify about all these mixtures, 6 people. I'm like, what? Okay, like, whoa. Like, did everybody go to sleep when they were talking about the crime scene?
Probably.
I mean, it's like, wow. This was a not guilty based off of, I don't care, you couldn't convict Brad Holder. Nobody should be going to prison for this case because the state messed it up from day one, and that's just the truth.
Yeah, they did.
I think that the family should have sued the shit out of them.
They won't.
But if I was a juror, I'd be sick to my stomach.
You would.
Oh,
yeah, but Lena, you understand, like, so like the thing that is.
No, reading these motions right now, if I was to look at the case now, because you wouldn't know. And can you imagine some of these people, like, they're supposing a group text? Do you think they're texting each other saying, hey, did you see that article? Or, hey, have you seen these filings? Hey, what do you think about that video now? Like,
They're probably ashamed, honestly. Well, no, they're not. I'm trying to give them benefit of the doubt, but honestly,
I
Lana, like,
give them grace because nobody should ever want to be in that situation. But that's why you're almost like, dude, nothing's going to bring back Abby and Libby. So there's no way I'm going to ruin somebody's life and make another victim if this isn't the person. And
I just can't relate to these jurors, so it's hard for me to it's hard for me to give them grace. I went from wanting them to speak out to within days just not wanting to hear not caring to hear a fucking thing they had to say. And I know that's bad. You're not supposed to say that, but I was just like, I don't fucking care because they didn't do their job as far as I'm concerned. Like, they know better than what they did.
Richard Allen, I think the defendant deserves to know why the hell you convicted me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so I get it, the way that our justice system is, but I would want to know why you convicted me. So maybe that's what I would be saying if I was ever in a situation like that, to say, well, do you have any words to say? Yeah, my only words are I have questions for the jury. I want to
Judge
know
Gould wouldn't even give the defense the jurors' names. She still won't tell the defense who the jurors are or how to get in touch with them if they even wanted to. She's literally withholding.
Like Richard Allen, like if I was the defendant, I would be
you mean like while you're
like if I like how they give you a chance to speak. And so I would say I'm really sorry for the families and everything that they've been through. I'm sorry, but I had nothing to do with why you feel the way that you feel today. But I feel for your pain and what you've gone through. But I really, and this has been hard on my family. And then I would say the only thing I'm begging for the jurors to tell me how they convicted me. I want to know how, like, I'm never going to see the light of day again unless I win an appeal. And so I just want to know why you how did you convict me?
Yeah, like they think about how they would twist that, you know? Well, but the jury's not there, right? When he has a chance to speak.
Twist it any way you want it. Like you put me away 130 years off of what?
Literally, yeah, nothing.
Like, I did not kill anybody. I just want to know what led you to go back into a room and raise your hand that I did this.
After 19 hours, it's not like it was.
Yeah, I was. Fuck, dude. I was tortured. And I said
they watched it. They watched him.
They watched it. They watched it, man. And that broad said that it wasn't that bad. I'm like, wow. Pray to God that girl never, falls down the stairs because it wasn't that bad.
Well, that's why I'm wondering, like, the other jurors, there's no way that, like, maybe they feel like confident in their conviction, which is fine. Like, I don't want them to, like, that's fine. You voted. I mean, I better fucking hope that you feel good about your vote because you convicted a man. But, like, I have a hard time seeing them, 12 people, maybe 16 people, be as flippant and callous as this young woman was. Like, I just don't see that being the uniform response. I think that was totally.
She was on Survivor, man. She was like living. She tried to get
she was at summer camp
camera.
Yeah,
she tried to get a Polaroid for what? To take selfies with who? Like what?
For her book, for her scrapbook.
What were you gonna take pictures of? Think about the things that she could have taken pictures of. Her and her fellow jurors, and what? Herself, and
literally, yeah.
I mean, what else could you take? You wouldn't have had your phone with you at any other time because you couldn't, or not your phone, but your camera. And so I'm just like, wow, what did she think that she was going to take pictures of? Like, what did she want?
I don't know, dude.
Like, isn't that just like when you think about it? I don't know. I mean, some woman asked me if I would take a picture of her giving her man a blowjob before, and I was like, what the fuck?
Did you do it?
No, I was like, why don't you just do a video? And I was like, hide it under the sheets and just set it up like this. And
you got to teach him how to set up the self timer.
Oh God, I was.
You can give him. What does it? Teach a man to fish. That's what you should have taught him how to fish.
It was my experience at the sex club place during COVID. I was dead. I was laughing.
You went to a sex club during COVID? Wow.
Yeah.
Bold.
Yep. That's the only thing that was open. It was a private club. You had to become a member. And you have to
Agreed.
pass like background checks. I was like, yeah,
Damn.
not a
Exclusive.
felon over here. Oh yeah, it was great.
She's like, not to brag, but I got in.
I got in. Yes, I'm still a member too.
DB says only in Ohio. So true.
But no, this poor woman, like they were traveling like an hour and a half to go to this place. It's like 10 minutes from me. And I was like, oh, she's like, yeah, my husband got me this membership here, and I've been so excited. And she's like, will you just record me giving him? And I was like, what?
Yeah,
I was like,
to memorialize the occasion.
I was like, that's the first time I've ever been asked to do that. Probably the last. I was like,
what an honor.
yeah. I was like, I don't know, no disrespect, but I really don't want to do this. But I'll help you. I'll help you like do it so that you can succeed.
You.
Yeah,
So
like,
I want you to be successful, but I don't want to
Yeah.
be a participant in the party. Yeah, that's fair. That feels like a good compromise.
Yeah, and I was like, you better be careful though, man. They take phones and they confiscate them, and you gotta be careful. And that was the other thing. I was like, I'm not going down your little crazy ass. Like, I get tossed and lose my membership. It's the only place I can drink at during COVID. My membership, man.
Don't
what else
wrap
about
me up in your in your rule breaking.
I mean, shit.
Like, look, lady, I passed my background check. Get out of here with that.
Yeah, and well, they had like every other weekend was like some theme night. It was hilarious, but no knock on the lifestyle. Whatever, to each their own. Whatever. Love it. We were watching the swingers case that's going on right now. Cy Ray's about to testify, by the way. We're seeing.
He gets so they use him for like he just gets hit up by like is it defense or state normally?
He does. Yeah, he does both. I don't know what he's testifying to in this. I should double check. But that case is wild. That case
anything about it.
It's a swingers case out of California. And then check this out. It was on the street, one of the streets. One of the cars was located was over by a house that Bella has over there. So like we were like, it was wild. She's like, this is right where and yeah, they were. It was like it's called the hairdresser stylist murder right now.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
they
it.
don't want to call it the swinger. They don't want to call it the swinger.
They need to call it the swinger case. It's wild.
They probably get where I would watch it if it were called that. Yeah.
It needs to be.
So wait, was it a murder? Is it a murder? Is it a murder case?
Yes,
a homicide?
She killed. It was a murder for like the life insurance, but they were swingers. It's wild. Yeah, I'm surprised it didn't get more hype. It should have gotten way more hype. I know it sounds bad to say like we're fucking grading movies over here, but it should have gotten way more hype. Court TV totally epic. Well, because the West Coast stuff. So if you think about it, at 9:00 in the morning when we start trial here, it's a West Coast. So at noon is when it starts because, well, noon our time, but it's 9:00 out in Cali. It's kind of going to be like for the Idaho case. My days are going to be so long when that happens.
Yeah, Idaho. I felt like that with like Lori Daybell. Obviously, I just remember being like ready to having time and being ready to like get my true crime trial fix in the morning and having to wait till like fucking 3:00 in the afternoon. Sometimes I was like, oh my god, like my day's over.
So the Idaho 4 case is going to be like 11 to 7 type of thing because it's Well, actually, take that back. I wonder if in the middle of the trial, then it's going to switch. Do they follow daylight savings? Because it starts.
I think everyone does, but like one, like Arizona or some shit, right?
Okay. Because I'm going out there July 29th for jury selection on July 30th. Then the trial starts on August 11th. But I'm going to
think it's going to go like they're going to have any more delays or no?
I don't think there's going to be any more delays.
Really?
Unless it gets tossed. Yeah. I think they're, I mean, they're good to go. This fucker is starting on August 11th with, like I said, jury selections July 30th. And then he said it. So depending, they could have the jury selected in, a day or 3 days or.
I have trauma. I don't want it selected in a day. How about take your fucking time?
I bet you it takes them a week to set. So probably by August 5th, and then they'll have a week, and then they'll start on the 11th. And I think it'll go all the way from all of August, and then September, and then I bet you it'll be over in the middle of October.
Wow.
I don't know. Unless the state, I don't know how the state is going to be able to even present this case with the people that they're planning on using, but it's going to be wild.
But you know how I thought that, and I know that it's different just in terms of, I mean, it's different for a lot of reasons, but I thought that so many times about even Delphi, thinking like, this is such a weak case. There's so many mistakes. There's so much, like, there's just so much that there's no way they're going to take this to trial. And if they do, there's no way that, and it's just like, as soon as something goes to trial, it's like, you're done. You know, it's just,
well, the thing that's interesting, like if the defense would have gotten their way and been able to present third party culpability, right? How much longer do you think that case would have been?
Oh, I mean, they could, how much longer could they have gone with all of their third party evidence? They could literally still be going if they were allowed to present every third party. I'm serious. They could still be going.
I will say this, based after hearing that girl, if they would have been able to see the Anthony shot shit, which I think should totally be, because it's not even third party in my opinion. That's just more like, that's the case. Like that's part of, like, the girls were messaging with that account. They were planning on meeting that account, right?
The Anthony shots.
Yeah.
That's what law enforcement has said, or at least that account.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
And it was such a big part of the case. So I think that if you don't want to give them Odinism, but how do you not give them Ron Logan and Anthony Schatz, Keegan Klein? How?
And Anthony Schatz, like people need to, and obviously like this is not common knowledge, but like Anthony Schatz and the Kegan Klein angle, basically from at least summer, maybe August 2020, from when they arrested Kegan Klein in Miami County until basically August 2022, right before they arrested Rick. So 2 full years. That was all they were focused on in Delphi.
Murder sheet. That's all murder sheet wanted to talk about.
Well, because that was but that was it. That was the killer. Like they were certain about it. And they had to, I guess, eventually accept that it just was not going to happen. And it's like, that's 2 entire years of investigative resources and energy on a suspect that you're not even going to let the defense mention. It's crazy.
Well, based off of what the girl said, it was almost like a default. It was like, who else? There's nobody else out there, right? Type of thing. Right. So that's where it's just like, wow. Because I think that if they hear about that, because I would have went the angle of the Ron Logan and the Keegan, because I would have also said, we have no idea who Keegan Klein was ever telling stuff to, who then those people could have saw the person's account, like a Libby account, and added Libby, and then started communicating with Libby that way. So for me, it's like, it's the whole domino effect of what the Keegan and the Anthony Schatz account represented. If that makes sense.
Look how many people are still so focused on Keegan Klein, even after everything. Even still today, they're still making content and talking about it. Like they are still fixated on that angle, because it's really hard for most people to discount the fact that, like, oh, so you're communicating and this is the last person you ever talked to, and yet they're not connected. Like most people can't conceptualize that. So imagine a jury wouldn't be able to get past that either. No wonder the state didn't want anyone knowing about it.
Well, especially they're trying to say that Rick Allen, the whole purpose was for this sexual assault. Hello, Keegan Klein. That's what the fuck that was what the whole thing was about.
You couldn't even find weird porn on Rick Allen's devices, let alone connecting
I don't know how. What's it? Richard Allen? I'm telling you, he would have been sweating on those. He would have dropped sweat. He wasn't in some great shape. You know what I mean? He would have been sweating. All right. And to not drop sweat, Keegan Klein would have literally fell down that hill and been like fucking twisted ankle.
Right.
This stuff didn't happen nowhere near the quickness that they're trying to say based on the area.
There's no way. There's literally no way. Yeah, no way.
This time, I don't believe the time's right. I'm telling you guys, Betsy Blair, everyone wants to like rave about her. Like,
Oh, Betsy Blair can
Betsy
get fucked
Blair
as far
can
as I'm
kiss my
concerned.
Betsy Blair
Some
fucked this whole
fucking
thing up.
some fucking use you were, Betsy. Like, they're still trying to say that you identified Rick as the bridge guy, poofy hair guy. Like, get the fuck out of here. I would be.
Who goes takes a shit and goes back to walk?
They would have to arrest me for me
telling
to
you.
just be compliant and sit there and just listen to them and like not. I would be indignant. They would literally have to arrest me if I thought that my testimony and my experience and what I witnessed was being misrepresented and used to, like, get the fuck out. I'd be like, hell fucking no, that's not who I saw. I'd be like, ask me if I saw that guy. Ask me. Tell me to identify him.
Well, how come we're saying that she made 3 loops, right?
Right.
What loop did you see people on? Think about it. Like, after I would have left the park, when you're taking loops versus just like one big loop, she took loops in the same spot 3 times. What loop did you see them on? I know it was on this. How do you know that, girl? Come on. Dude, she did not see those people on loop 3. She saw the people on loop 1. I'm telling you. She would have dead smacked into what's their names? Bree Wilbur.
Okay, but here's another thing. Then
That's who she saw.
Like
loops or poops, both. She's just looping and pooping all day over there. And then did you guys know the story that her husband was the one that told her to call?
Who?
And he's like a firefighter. Do you guys know this?
No.
Betsy Blair, the only reason she called and got involved is because her husband's like a firefighter in a different area. Do you guys know what Betsy Blair did for a living? She was involved in the environmental, like,
something with the state, I thought.
Yeah, we did a little deep dive, me and Bella, on Betsy.
Oh, you should talk to Courtney. Courtney's always deep diving, motherfucker. She knows everything about everybody.
Like, dude, I'm telling you, Betsy Blair, something's off with that. But her husband was the one that told her to call in because he is like a volunteer firefighter and he had heard about this and he's like, hey, hon, you're always out there walking. And so that's how this whole thing happened.
Like, why don't you mind your
Betsy
business?
Betsy Blair wasn't like, oh my God, saw the news and it's like, oh my God, I saw those girls. Like, that's not how it happened. And
her husband was like, well, you were out there. What'd you see? Did you see something?
Yeah,
Tell me what you saw. And she's
yeah.
probably like, I don't know.
Her husband, that's exactly what happened. He got the ring, the scan, whatever, with the volunteer crap. And I think that he should be called to the stand. And then that's how, like, so it was like, he's like, yeah. She's like, yeah, my husband said what happened, and then asked me, hey, you're always out there walking. Did you see anything? And so that's how that whole thing happened.
Courtney's initial theory about whoever that person was before we knew Betsy Blair, like whoever that person was in the PCA who saw everything and remembered everything. Courtney was like, she was out there cheating. She was either cheating or looking for somebody that was cheating. You know, she was like, she was out there doing something she either wasn't supposed to be doing or she was looking for somebody because she was like so perceptive of everything. And she was basically like, before you realize she was doing like loops, it was like she kind of just like staking out the trails. Like, what's she doing there? Like, so I originally was like, she's there to meet her plug. Like, she's there to cop something. That's all.
Oh, she's definitely not there for drugs.
Well, and then Courtney was like, "No,
I thought she could be maybe like a I see what you're saying. Like,
yeah, well,
like
but
a cheating thing, meeting up with like your lover.
Something, because she was like perceptive AF, right? She was like noticed everything, and she had the times, and she was noticed who was here and who walked over that bridge. But even now, looking back on, I'm like, that fucking wasn't helpful at all, Betsy.
No. The best part about Betsy was the only thing that she wanted to talk about, but they couldn't. She became pointless after the fact that you can't talk about the poofy hair and show the damn portrait. Okay, whatever, the fucking sketch.
The sketches, like once the sketches out, it's like, well, okay, she serves
Betsy,
no purpose.
fuck you. No, then she actually hurts. She actually then hurts the case.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
I
Betsy
agree.
hurt the case when the sketches weren't allowed to be used. And that's why I would have hammered on the fact that Betsy, we know you saw those girls on loop 1. Okay.
How did she not know if it was Abby or Libby? That's my thing. Like, you don't know if it was or wasn't. Like, how is that possible? Like, how?
Because, well, if it's not like you're not, all kids that age, like I'm sorry, they all look alike. If you're not paying, she's an older woman. She was like,
I guess, but I wouldn't
she's in
even
her
be like, oh,
60s.
I might have seen them. Like that's quite a thing to.
Is that how she said it?
I don't know. Another thing is like, how did they ask their witnesses questions? Because we know that they're like leading AF. Like, I don't trust anything that they said.
It also was a conflicting of like, well, Betsy, when you went and parked there, were there any other cars there? Because I also said, how did Betsy parking and Libby, Abby, and Kelsey, how did they not all run into each other right there at that little pull up?
How did nobody run into anybody? That's my thing. There were so many fucking people there. Like, you've been there. I've been there. If there was anybody,
I saw people. I saw people. You know who we saw there the one day? Cody. Cody was there with his family the one day we were there.
Oh,
which
like
was
doing
on
like
Sunday before the
fucking
Monday of a he was
memorial or
yeah.
whatever.
No, he was there by himself with his like family, like just like not like the Patties, but like
right, his family,
whoever he's banging or married to or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I was there with Julie when we saw him, and like that's like Julie's blood
family member. I know that's literally her family
it was
member.
Really,
but like,
it was really kind of awkward at first.
So fucking weird.
So I think Betsy Blair. That's the whole. I would have asked her. I don't care. Like I'm gonna ask you questions. Like, okay, so Betsy, you left to go to the bathroom. Okay, and so when you went to the bathroom, are you sure the people that maybe you think that you saw you didn't see at the library? You know, right. And then I'm telling you how long she says that it took her. She had to have literally been either fucking at the library or taking a shit. It's right down the street. It's like I did it. I timed it. If I had to go get in my car, go drive over there, go to the library, go pee, come out. For that trip to take 30 minutes for Betsy Blair, it took her 26 minutes. That is literally, if you're like a walker and you're trying to like dude, it's 12 minutes. How did it take Betsy 14 more minutes to do?
At that point, go home. My walk's over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My walk's over at that point.
I did the math on the steps afterwards and how long it took her. And it was everything took so much more time. And I was like, dude,
their entire case is this timeline that is literally impossible. How did she not see what?
She would say, oh, I saw somebody out on the bridge on the plank, right?
Right. On the, whatever the fuck, the platform.
Yeah. And I said, yeah, she saw him on the first loop. Just like she saw those other like the kids, everything was on loop 1, not loop 3. And that was the big, like, Betsy fucked the game.
Betsy fucked the game.
Betsy fucked the game, man. I'm telling you that right now. I would have went
Cecil fucked the game. Like a bunch of people fucked the game. Yeah, and I understand like not wanting
to the state fucked the game. They didn't give him any like, here you can't use anything, but yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I would have had Betsy draw. Here you go, Betsy. Can you draw us the guy that you know?
It's a 10 out of 10, she says, and then she sits there in a trial for a man who's 5'4" with no hair. And she's like, that's a 10. Doesn't she want to know who that was? Betsy, don't you want to know who that was that you saw? Because I bet they saw you too. I'd be a little concerned. I'd be like, maybe I want to know who that was. She didn't seem too concerned.
Her timeline does not 100%. Her timeline does not match. Betsy Blair would have been, I'm telling you, and then I'm just thinking, who goes to the bathroom who has explosive diarrhea and goes back out to the trails? Betsy Blair. And I would have asked her, hey, did you pee when you went to the bathroom? Because Betsy, why would it take you 30 minutes to do that? I just don't think, I don't understand when people realize like, get that woman to like, oh, well, you know what? Maybe I did see him on the first loop because you know what? You're right. Because she was, there's just way more to that story. It does not take you that long.
Mm-mm.
Like were you not feeling well? Like who goes to plans to walk and like their stomach starts gurgling and they're like, I have to run to the bathroom.
And then you go back on your walk? I'd go to the
Like, I would
bathroom,
never
I'd do
go back
whatever
on
the
my walk.
fuck I needed to do, and then I'd go home.
I would
take care of business.
exactly. I would.
What are you doing?
Why? And that's why I'm just like, how do we even know that she went to the fucking library? It's
Wait,
like,
what?
nobody's-
And then there's another thing. What fucking library?
It's right there. It's right there where we were staying. It was right across the street, and that's why I was like, oh my god, I got to do this timing. And the other
Like
thing I said, I was like,
downtown?
oh yeah. I was like, does everybody realize the time that they say that the girl's phone? I always just say the girl's phone because they were like together.
Yeah.
It stops and it does like that down, like it drops. It's the same time that Betsy Blair is getting back to her vehicle to get in it and leave. And you could have an argument that the girls were actually with Betsy Blair in a vehicle because based on the timelines, like you could argue that.
You should argue it.
I'm not even playing. And because it's whack because they go like a period of time where there's no movement, but then all of a sudden it does the drop off. And I'm like, holy shit, that's when Betsy Blair is getting in her vehicle to leave after her 3 loops and she shit. And it's like, man, this
3
is
loops
wild.
in a shit.
Yeah. And so why can't the girls be with Betsy Blair? Like maybe that's why Betsy Blair went the fuck back out there after she took her non-existent shit because she really didn't go to the library. Like I kept saying, like
can't understand a person
we have proof that she went to the library.
Goes on a walk and then halfway through the walk for whatever reason has to use the facilities and goes so she got in her car and drove to a bathroom and then went back out to finish her walk. Like, okay, I get it, but like, go. I'm done at that point. My walk's over.
Mm-hmm.
That's just bizarre to me. And that's like the least bizarre thing. And that's super hella fucking bizarre of all the bizarre things in this case.
And then I want to know, when did Betsy Blair, did she talk to them that night or did she talk to them the next day or 2 days? I want to know.
Well, her sketch was done, what, the 17th or something? Didn't they say like it was the first sketch drawn, but not used till what, 2019?
Maybe Betsy Blair's in the same situation like a Rick Allen was, that they want to say that Rick Allen only came forward. You know, why the fuck would Rick Allen come forward, you guys? That's absolutely insanity to me. Somebody that's...
I mean, if he were the guy, are you fucking crazy? Like, what? They're like, oh, well, you knew that they saw him. Huh?
Who?
No.
Who saw? Yeah, exactly. Like, who saw him?
Well, and DB makes a good point. Like, whenever this comes up, he's always like, dude, if Rick did it, he would have told them that he saw the killer. He would have told them that he saw a guy. Like, he literally said, I didn't see anybody else. Like, if you're the guy, why would you put
somebody else there?
Yeah.
And so listen to this. Guess what? Betsy Blair does that. Betsy Blair is the only person that says that Rick Allen was on the fucking bridge or that there was bridge guy. You know what I mean? That she's
Landon, this is your Betsy Blair arc. Yeah.
Betsy Blair needs to be literally put in waterboarded. I'm not playing. Betsy Blair is bridge guy.
who would know? We went on this DB's been saying Betsy's sus for a while. We also went on this tangent.
My money is
about
on
how
Betsy
poor. You know why they never identified her? You know why Bridge Guy never came forward? Because Sarah Carbaugh fucking ran him over with her car, and he's
Betsy
dead.
Blair was blowing Ron Logan. Okay, y'all, mark it down.
Probably.
Betsy Blair was blowing Ron Logan.
Something was going on.
Yeah, and then the girl saw it, and I'm just kidding. But I do think that Betsy Blair's story needs to be. That's just wild. It's wild that if you put the girls on the same timeline with the phone and Betsy Blair's timeline, the phone stops moving when Betsy Blair basically gets in her car to leave for the third time, and then it goes and does like this big drop, and there's a drop off area and those back areas. And so just pull a Nick Guerrero now and just say that, went down. And then we brought him back over there. I believe that those girls were taken from the area. I believe that those girls were brought back over to that area. I believe that there was either a Faraday bag involved or a, like I was reading. Actually, I'll show you this book because I'm fucking crazy. Ann Taylor released that she has this Tom Slotnick guy or Slovinsky or whoever. Oh, where's my book? Hold on.
Get
I
your
read
book.
I read it in 13 minutes.
You read a book in 13 minutes?
Yeah, it's not that big.
It's more like a pamphlet.
It's like a
She's speed read. She's a speed reader.
Where the fuck is this damn book? I was like, God bless America. Bella, why do you touch my stuff? I swear. You're gonna be the death of me. I like my stuff in a mess, okay? Like, oh God, where is my book? She asked me, she's like, how are you done with that book already? I was like, it's only like 30 pages. It's not that big at all, not that long. Well, I don't know where it's at now. Now I'm just sad about it.
No.
Well, anyways.
Well, what's it called?
This dude wrote the book. It's Forensic Cellular Shit.
Okay.
And,
Forensic cellular shit.
Yeah, it's like forensic something. Where is it? Well, I'll find it. I read it yesterday. And so it's one of the new experts for the Kohlberger case. He wrote a book. And
Okay.
And he was saying all the different ways that you could make a phone, like appear like that it's not. And he was talking about, he's like, listen, you want to wrap that fucker in tin foil, like 3 ways around. And if you have really good tin foil, like you're all set. And I was laughing. And so I was like, I want to test this.
I could believe it.
And so he's like a Faraday bag. And he was saying some other stuff. But he was like giving things that you're not supposed to do. And I'm like, oh, this is everything that those idiots did.
Literally, yeah.
They like, I'm about to send Jerry Holman this book and say, love Ange.
Do it. I just have such a hard time with all of the cell phone data because of how many things they did wrong immediately and how much data they could have and probably did at the very least lose, if not they're like putting data onto it. You know what I'm saying? Like just, and these are guys that are supposed to know this shit. They're not just like random deputies. They're like trained in this. So I'm like, why are you not doing...
It's like they didn't want to solve it. No, it's wild.
Yeah.
It's bad.
I don't know. It's bad.
I don't think that anybody should be convicted this way. I don't think that this is America.
No, but they know that he shouldn't have been convicted because today still, like Max Lewis and CBS 4 put in a request to talk to Reese Davis. Like they put in a request and DOC was like, okay, well tell us the topics. And they're like, huh? So they're like, okay. So they gave him the topics and then DOC denied them.
Wait, why would they deny them? Sorry, I didn't realize that I had Betsy Blair blowing Ron up there.
No, I didn't even see it. Sometimes I'll do that. I'll pin or someone will pin
that's the
something
book I bought.
crazy.
I bought that book.
Tom Slavinsky. Oh.
Yeah. I bought this book. And it's not that long at all. And honestly, it's not a good book. It's not, but I wouldn't even really call it a book. I'm telling you, it is a pamphlet, but it's like a book. But it's like a book. But he seems like he's a cool ass dude. So I think it's self-produced and made. So I don't know. And I would love to have him on the show. So I think it's a great book. So
it's the best book. In fact, it's the best pamphlet she's ever read. It's so good that she recommended it to all of us.
He talks shit about he's like, if you guys want to fuck up my profession, like, because he's an ex-cop but now, he does whatever. And he's like, all you shitty ass cops, get the fuck up out of here. Like basically like saying like, you're ruining our profession. So I thought it was, I like shit like that because that's how I would be. I always say that I'm like, if I was a cop, I'd be so pissed if you guys were doing this shit and giving us a bad name. Like I would just be like, and he says that over and over and over in this book. And I was just wanting to show you guys like where he makes this comments about a phone turning off or why it wouldn't be consistent, like how Libby's phone did. And I'm telling you, somebody fucked with that phone. That phone would have just been pinging there, just been chilling there, would have been ringing, vibrating. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know how anybody could possibly, knowing that your kids were in a certain area where they were dropped off, how could I sleep in a home that's warm when my kid is missing? There's just no fucking way. I would have guilt. Like that's why I couldn't be that's why I wouldn't be able to do that. And so for anybody to have left that park or whatever they want to call it, the trails that night, I don't know how they did that. Unless they thought my kids are fucking with us, they're somewhere else and they're going to get their asses beat. You know what I mean? Like that type of thing.
Yeah.
But I would just never be able to be in a house warm and my kids outside.
It's confusing.
I don't know how you
They
do
just believe law enforcement like gospel. Honestly, that's the only thing. Even now with the conviction, like they literally just believe that what the police there tell them is as good as from God herself. It's like, and it's sad.
I mean, how did they not realize they could actually have had Find My iPhone? Did you know that? That night?
I heard that. So yeah, so it was like on the iPad or something, like because we've always heard that they didn't have it enabled or something. So like,
okay, so at trial that came out. At trial, it was enabled. They did have it, but they didn't think so. They didn't think they did. And it's just like, what are you talking about? Like, how did you miss that? Like,
so what did wait?
They
didn't think it did.
So they had Find My iPhone on it. Her laptop had Find My iPhone, and that's when she said we didn't realize what we could have done, and we could have done it like this because when she remember how she did that interview, and she's like, when I called, and I was like, I don't have the phone, so I can't. And just like, no, you can do a different device with the iCloud. You know what I mean?
And
I don't believe anything.
Never told them.
No, I don't believe what they're saying.
Oh, that's fair.
Because it's because then they said like it was on there. And so it's like, how did you not look at Find My iPhone and you would have like it would have been like you would have seen it. So, it's just like,
yeah, I always thought that they tried and that they didn't have it on or it wasn't working or something.
You're not telling me Kelsey German wouldn't have said use my iPhone. She was a teenager. It is our constitutional obligation to hold our government. Yeah. I think that I don't believe that Kelsey and her sister were friends on Snap. And I think that that's weird.
Also, how was Kelsey logging? But Kelsey's logging into all of her stuff and like, so she's logging into all of her accounts to check her accounts, but she couldn't get into her iCloud. I don't know. I just have a lot of questions. That's all. I got a lot of questions, man. I got more questions than I did before.
I don't know how many of those people were like, I'm just gonna go home and go to bed. It's 11 or it's midnight.
I don't know.
How do you do that? I would have had to have reasons to believe that my kid is somewhere else and that they're with somebody else and that they're going to get their asses beat when they finally show up.
So I have a theory about this that's kind of like not it's controversial just because it's about the family. But so at the time that this happened, Carrie Timmons, Libby's bio mom, and Becky Patty, Libby's grandmother, were in a pretty contentious custody dispute. And just what we know, we'll just say, how about just what we know about custody disputes? There's a lot of reasons that a temporary guardian wouldn't want it to be widely known that the child or children went missing under their care. And so that's sad, because if that in any way influenced the urgency or the whatever the fuck, because they were like, well, we're going to find him tomorrow, so why make a big deal out of it? That's fucked, but yeah, I don't know.
Well, after I heard that, where did Kelsey sleep the night before? Where did Kelsey sleep? Did she sleep at and have Bree Wilbur over?
Isn't that what we heard? Bree slept over her house. Didn't we hear that? Like after the fact? That's interesting.
It's like, wait, what? So let's just truly get this straight. Didn't Bree Wilbur have a car then?
She would have had to, right?
Did she drive? Kelsey drove, right?
Yeah.
Weren't Bree and Kelsey in the same grade? I know that Bree had a car for sure a couple months after the murder, because I found some pictures of like, but wouldn't because I'm just thinking in my head, okay.
Yeah.
Back when you're in school and you're that young, you don't go out, like you want to go out and start doing something when you don't have school at like, 11, 10, like you're trying to meet up with your friends earlier, right?
Hmm.
I mean, going somewhere at 1:30 in the afternoon when you have like the whole day up until that point, like that you're not doing anything, right? And if somebody slept over and they could have actually given us a ride to take us to the trails, why wouldn't we have rode with them? Why wouldn't I
Right.
have rode with my dad when he was going to go take pictures? Like, why wouldn't have my dad have been my ride to the trails
And what? Yeah.
before he
Right.
goes out to take his pictures, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why did the dad leave? And then it was like, okay, Kelsey's going to give us a ride out there. I don't believe any of that shit. That's not common sense. Like, that is just not. And then you normally make plans when you have a day off. You're trying to make plans ahead of time because you know that you have this day off. So what are we going to do? And so therefore you would have done that to the point that the grandma or whoever's going to be giving you a ride and putting your day all together, it wouldn't have just plopped on you like a normal snow day that you find out in the morning. And then it's just like, well, we didn't have any plans because we just found out that it was a snow day that day. You have all this
Right.
time to plan. And I find it super hard to believe that these girls wouldn't have had a plan and wouldn't have asked parents ahead of time about going and doing X, Y, and Z to make sure they had a ride. It just defines the logic of a eager 7th and 8th grader
Yeah.
who would have to rely on a ride because we don't drive
Right.
at that age. And everybody knew the day that they all had that day off. So that'd be like my son if he's like he doesn't have school. Hey, so do you want to go to the trampoline place? Like, I'm making a plan ahead of time so that what we're going to be doing on that day, or if he gets older, hey, I want to go play with my friends, or all my friends are going to meet up and we're going to go. I can't imagine that my son's going to bring it on me last minute what he wants to do on a planned day off of school at that age. I don't buy that. There's just 7th and 8th graders. They're just all about like what middle school, hanging out with their friends. They would have wanted to make plans, and it just doesn't sit right. Because didn't the friend say, Libby and Abby they asked him to go, and he said
He
had to
did
go
say that. Yeah. Like
that
they
was
were
the
like,
night before.
right.
So they always had that plan of that they're going there, right? So, and then here we find out that Bree Wilbur actually went to the trails. So then you want me to believe that Abby and Libby wanted to go to the trails, right? Bree Wilbur slept over and did not take the girls and drop them off on her way to go to the trails. You want me to believe this shit? I don't believe any of that. That does not make, especially when, I remember Kelsey said that Libby had looked on Snap and she had seen that other friends of theirs had posted a pic. And then that's who she was trying to like, these lies just don't make any sense. They just don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless you're
I
a bunch
feel
of
that.
bitches in the area and you guys are just like, but hey, you're going there and I want to go there and you're at my house. Oh, can me and Abby ride with you? And can you drop us off there? Like when your dad, or if you're even not driving, when your dad or your mom come to pick you up and you're going to the trails, can we ride with you because Kelsey's, lazy ass doesn't want to go and we want to go?
Right.
It just doesn't vibe that all these people would go there who in fact were at Abby and Libby's house in that morning.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here. No way.
And not hearing about some of it until trial or later. It's like, how did that get kept under wraps for 7 years, and why? You know, it's just weird. It's just weird, but
That's why I want to know what these depositions. What they were depoing the police. The defense was. I want to know what depositions were had of the family and the lay people.
it's a good question.
So it's kind of late though. You want to go to bed?
I'm ready for bed. Thanks for
Yeah.
inviting me on and hanging
You're
out.
welcome.
Let me come.
Cheers to
Crash
the
your party.
wrestlers out there.
Okay. Well, I love you. I'll talk to you soon.
I am her publicist. Okay, Angela, make sure that we have you back.
Oh, geez, DB. Yeah, he's my publicist. He tells me where I go and when. So I guess it's time
All
for
right,
bed.
no, I want
Thank you,
to
Lana.
I want to do round 2, so you're welcome to come back. Well, maybe we'll bring DB up here next time.
Oh yeah. You should do that. He has a lot to say. You got a lot of thoughts.
Okay, good, good, DB. You'll be
Bye.
welcome. Bye, girl. She's like, bye. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah. I did a video on this case way back in the day, and I think I called Bex wanted me to look into it, and I said back when I did it in 2022, I said I won't say this right now publicly, but whoever this Kelsey girl is, I said fuck no. I said don't believe a word she's saying, and she's like, oh my god, are you kidding? Are you serious? And I was like, oh, 100. I said I don't know what it is, but none of this makes any sense. Whatever that Kelsey girl's throwing down, absolutely not. And then come to find out, yeah. And I'm not saying that she's a killer. I'm just saying you can't give six stories of the same situation and you know about it like instantly. Like there's no room for error. Like you had just dropped off your sister, if you said at 1:49, and then by 3:30, nobody can find them. You know, there's no way to fuck up the story. Sorry. It's just not possible. But thank you guys. You guys rock. Doug Carter's drinking piss. Totally did not even know that Ange got swatted by Jerry Holman. So sorry for that. And we'll do it again. So on your way out, hit the thumbs up. Thank you guys for joining. I gotta go rest my voice now. I gotta go find my book. All right, peace
But when Libby and Abby did not show up when they were supposed to get picked up, their families began to worry, and they began to search. Then, the next day, the bodies of these two girls were found, both victims of murder. Then, over the course of the next 5+ years, there were no answers, no arrests, just a series of disjointed clues, like two sketches that looked nothing alike, a video of the suspected killer, and a short audio recording of his voice.